It's April the 26th, 1997, and Albion supporters seen here entering the North Stand what would be for the very last time for the fixture against Doncaster Rovers. Obviously the day was going to be a day of mixed emotions. Happiness because Albion managed a 1-0 win and helped them to stay in the third division. And sadness knowing that they'd never see another game there. And this was the scene at the Goldstone a few weeks later in May, and we sent our camera along to record a few nostalgic scenes, starting with our own spot in the centre of the East Stand, which was where our TV gantry was, in the prohibited area. There's the nice view of the North Stand there. And that was the infamous visiting end, where teams that arrived in the 80s were sandwiched into that little corner there. There's the entrance that they came into. Clear to see that the Goldstone did need some refurbishment. But it would not happen, and those turnstiles would remain locked forever. The following month in June, this was how the Goldstone looked. All the turnstiles boarded up, the North Stand beheaded, and the pitch gone. A horrible scene, particularly for those who had to pass the Goldstone on their way to work or on their way home. Seeing it every day being ripped apart was a very sad occasion. Twisted metal everywhere, lumps of concrete, where once people stood year after year in the same spot watching the Albion. And that floodlight almost seems to be aware of its fate. Probably the saddest shot of all was this one of the North Stand, just the floodlights remaining and a few steps. There's the famous, or should I say infamous, director's box, Mr.Bellotti's seat having been ripped out. And one last look at the West Stand. But I am jumping ahead of myself here. In front of me is a pile of tapes, over 120 Albion games which we've managed to squeeze in here, starting with season 1980 to 1981, with some footage that had been stored in a storage locker at the Goldstone and left 14 years. There's an interesting shot there, the North Stand, no covering there. It had been pulled down this season before, and a new stand would be erected there the following season. Also, the West Stand extension, more popularly known as the Lego stand, making an appearance there. There's a better view of the Lego stand. It was up for 6 years and not always popular due to the poor view with girders and things in your way. And here's our first game against Coventry City, where Albion take an early lead through Jerry Ryan. Other Albion favourites for season 80-81 were Peter Wald, Mark Lawrenson, Steve Foster of course, and Albion manager Brian Horton. And for this season, Albion had actually 3 internationals in one game when Jerry Ryan, Mark Lawrenson and Michael Robinson all played for the Republic of Ireland in a game against France. That coupled with Peter Wald's substitute appearance for England, things look very rosy for the Albion. That goal there scored by Coventry's Tom English, right on half-time. Coventry playing in an appalling brown and a yellow strip there. Albion losing to another goal from Coventry City by Tom English again in the 89th minute. Here's some nice pictures of the game against Sunderland. Just the first half we've got here, but it does include Michael Robinson's goal.
Forward, come on!
Well, I've included this shot because it gives a nice view of the open-ended north stand here with the Townsend Torreson Ferry Company adverts. Final score in that one, Albion 2, Sunderland 1. Here's the Boxing Day match against Crystal Palace. A whopping 27,000 spectators in the ground. Peter O'Sullivan there getting that goal, and half time it will be 1-1 when Phillips playing in goal for the Albion for the only time in season 1980-81 conceded an equaliser before half time. Despite that, Albion won the game 3-2. We've got an outside broadcast now from the BBC. The home game against Manchester United. A lot of stars in both lineups, in fact.
Alveston. Jordan again, and this time he beats both Foster and Mosley. They go to congratulate Alveston and also Gary Birtles. Because it was Birtles' run which started it. He fed
Turned out to be a bit of a disaster for the Albion. 3 down at half time.
Questionable handball, but here's Koppel, and there's McNabb. And it's a corner.
And there's a lovely shot of the West Stand extension there, probably the best one we've got.
Jordan homing in on it again. Koppel, everything left of him. He's got an extra touch with his left foot, which didn't really please him. Alveston. McElroy. Oh, look at the space they created there. Here's Thomas. And it goes in the end from Jordan, having squeezed its way along the line. So the second from Joe Jordan. Grimes to Duxbury. Foster. Oh, and a mistake by McNabb. And put in by Sammy McElroy. And Dave Sexton knows that they've been given a get for the third.
There, Sammy McElroy, the Macclesfield Town manager, seen there in the colours of Manchester United.
And off they go at half-time. And the Brighton management obviously feeling that as a sickening blow right on the stroke of half-time. McElroy adding to the earlier goals by Joe Jordan. And in contrast, Dave Sexton.
Half time, 3-0 down then, but Albion did make a spirited comeback, albeit briefly.
Foster going for it, Jordan beats him. Foster again. And Ritchie! Well, he breaks his duck, has a bit of an argument with Jordan as he does so. But Andy Ritchie at least will remember the afternoon as the day that he scored his first goal for his new club against his old club. After Foster had got up in the air, the ball bounced around, and Ritchie turning on it, thumping it into the roof of the net. Duxbury, one player in the 6-yard box, number 10 there, offering most of the movement. There's Joe Jordan, and here is Mickey Thomas. And blasted in, finally, by Duxbury, after the ball had hit Brian Horton on the line. So Mike Duxbury gets his first goal for Manchester United.
4-1 win there for Manchester United. And this is the entrance to the playing surface at the Goldstone. Steve Foster there warming up. And everybody awaiting the arrival of Liverpool, complete with Kenny Dalglish, among many other celebrities. Ray Kennedy there leading out the team. And also there Terry McDermott, now the assistant manager at Newcastle United. Assistant to that gentleman, in fact. And I wonder if that lad still comes to watch the Albion. Oh, a jolly referee there. First of all, I think he made some attempts to take off in helicopter style. Now he's testing the bounce of the pitch. Ah, yes, smiles all round when the referees were almost human.
So away we go, and the trip in the very first seconds of the match for Kenny Dalglish as Brighton get underway against Liverpool. Liverpool in their distinctive all-red strip, attacking the goal on our left, and really a very important game for both sides for different reasons. Early touch of the ball for Giles Still, making his debut for Brighton. Gregory there. Kennedy to McDermott. Jimmy Case wide on that far touch line, but away by Foster. There's a chance. Robinson all by himself. Can he put him in front? He can! An absolute dream start for Brighton. That's just what they wanted. Mike Robinson with his 16th goal of the season.
Goal there for Albion after just 2 minutes. And soon they were 2-0 up. Just 7 minutes later, Gordon Smith.
Oh yes, and it's there. Well, this is quite extraordinary, isn't it? Gordon Smith and Liverpool are all at sea. Irwin dallied on the ball. He paid the price. Cohen, that's not a bad ball to McDermott. Oh, lovely touch and back in by Johnson. Lovely skills by Liverpool. That's the first time we've seen any evidence at all, really, of the sort of thing that they can do in attack. And a lovely ball from McDermott over Digweed's head, back off the crossbar.
Liverpool eventually forcing a 2-2 draw. Albion finishing the season in 19th position, ahead of Norwich, Leicester City and Crystal Palace, who only had 19 points there, all of whom were relegated from what was the equivalent of the Premier League, then of course known as the Football League Division 1. Finding footage in the 80s was more difficult, but we did get hold of 2 newscasts from season 87-88. It was a season where Albion finished second in Division 3.
Broke the deadlock in breathtaking style. Having started the move, he also finished it off with the help of Dean Wilkins and some spectacular opportunism. Brighton ahead, but it wasn't all coming up roses in their garden. The half ended on a note of concern, with Kevin Brown lying injured and later substituted. It took Brighton time to readjust in the second half. Rugby's slip lets in Christie. But on 65 minutes, Gary Nelson crossed from the left and Paul Wood did the rest. Brighton now 2 up, and shortly afterwards they should have made it 3. Rugby, Wood and Gatting all queuing up to score. But somehow the ball stayed out. 28-goal Nelson couldn't get on the score sheet this time, but was still proving a real handful. Then, with time fast running out for Walsall, Brighton failed to clear a free kick and Christie made them pay. But it wasn't enough. Final score, Brighton 2, Walsall 1.
Brighton were preparing their promotion challenge with skill and style. 6 passes before Wilkins headed just wide. Second half, Brighton couldn't score, but Wigan tried to help. Wigan rarely attacked, but thwarted on the post by Bremner's unorthodox ball control. A near miss which brought tears to the eyes. But the Brighton striker was to look more at home at the other end. Nelson's cross, Bremner inches away. The most expensive player on the pitch was Alan Kennedy. Once Liverpool paid £250,000 for him. Now at Wigan, the defender close to a priceless solo effort against the bar. But it was the spur Brighton needed. Less than a minute later, Kirbishley tried and tried again. Final score 1-0.
Albion in second place, being promoted along with Sunderland for that one. Season 87-88, the Albion team boasted Steve Penny, Doug Rugby, formerly of Chelsea, John Crumplin, Ian Chapman and Keeley in goal, who played every league match. Keeley will be back some years later when Canvey Island visited the Goldstone in an FA Cup tie. Now we go on to season 1990-91, when Liverpool came to the Goldstone for an FA Cup replay.
At the end of it all, goal kick it is. Digweed. Giving it away once more. They let in Barnes. Still Barnes. Good save. Oh, it's in from Steve McMahon. Just coming up to the 10-minute mark. John Barnes shot. Brighton just couldn't keep it out. 2 defenders on the line, but McMahon getting in. And fix it on. Down for Walker, chance here. Now there it is. Brighton have equalised. Mike Small. No suspicion of offside about that goal. Liverpool certainly stopped. Let's take another look at it. Hooked on by Byrne. Walker's ball, finding Small. Oh no, was that offside? The referee didn't think so. 1 or 2 supporters.
So the match went on to extra time. 1-1 after 90 minutes. Soon John Byrne will put
Rush
Albion
not
ahead.
displeased, I think, by that position, but free kick it is. Russell not on. Could be a goal for Byrne. Yes, it is. John Byrne getting in round the back there. Whelan couldn't just reach it to get it back to Grobbelaar. And John Byrne has got it on the blind side and put Brighton in front. First time in the match. There's the free kick from Chivers. Nodded on by Small. Whelan's back pass wasn't good enough.
But 2 goals from Liverpool would spoil the party. Eventually they win 3-2 and progress to the next round.
But he won't give up until the very last second. You can be certain of that. Here's Mulvey. Liverpool now have used both substitutes. Burrows. Beardsley just about his first touch. Rush with a shot, and it's there. Rush has scored 1 minute into this final period, and Ian Rush, always such a danger. And Peter Beardsley, with virtually his first touch, set him up for that goal. Up down the middle, and Ablett cutting it out. Bobby through McMahon. Oh, there it is. Liverpool have done it. McMahon has pitched it. 7 minutes to go. Mulvey's through ball. Steve McMahon on the end of it.
Rush, Barnes and Beardsley and co. Bit too much for the Albion.
And there indeed the final whistle. It's all over. Wow, what a brave fight by the Seagulls. But just not enough in the end. They got themselves in front in extra time. With that goal from John Byrne, it was 1-1 at 90 minutes. They led at the first period of extra time, but then Ian Rush levelling it. That was the vital goal. A minute into the second period of time added on. And Steve McMahon popping up with what proved to be the winner 7 minutes from the end. Brighton 2, Liverpool 3. A marvellous evening's entertainment. Great cup tie. All credit to the Albion for taking them.
And in the league, Albion had finished 6th place and eventually played Notts County at Wembley for a playoff spot for Division 1, for the last ever season of Division 1 before it became the Premier League. Unfortunately, Notts County won that day by 3-1. Very sad to think that just 6.5 years later, the same two teams met at Priestfield in a 3rd Division game in front of just 1,279 people. Season 1991 to 92 didn't bring any success. In fact, the Albion were relegated, but put in some very good performances, and here's just a few of them. Players like Raphael Mead up front for the Albion, but didn't bring any joy. Here's some of the better games.
Good ball into the path of Much. Much scores! Oh, great goal from Andy Much. Just 24 minutes gone. And a shock lead for Wolves. It's Brighton 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. Missed it, Gary Riley shoots! Oh, he scored a magnificent goal by Gary O'Reilly. 2 minutes after Wolves took the lead, Brighton respond. It's Brighton 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. Wilkins is there if he wants to knock it back. Trying to go around the outside and does so. A beautiful chip coming in there. It's there! Barham! One of the smallest men in that 6-yard box. Got his head to it to beat Mike Stowell. And that's given Brighton the lead in Venus then with the free kick for Wolves. It's gone all the way through and Steve Ball notches. 33 minutes gone. And we're having a hatful of goals here at the goal. Trying to draw the Brighton defenders out. The shot coming in is there! Wolves take the lead for the second time. Andy Much with his second goal of the match. Getting it to the left. Picked up here by Byrne. Byrne squeezes it across and a chance here. Yes, it's 3-3. John Robinson, the scorer. In on goal. Can he get a shot in? Oh, he does, and it's a goal! The opening goal. 6 minutes into the game, and it's John Byrne, the scorer. A good run that by... He set himself for the shot. No, the ball played wide. This is Robinson. Good turn by Robinson. Gets in the ball to the far post, and it's... Oh, great save! No, it's there! Raphael Mead, the scorer this time. It's Brighton 2, Port Vale 0. We're in. Byrne going in for the return from Mark Barham. Barham gets in the cross, and Byrne's there. Oh, a diving tap. That's there. John Robinson. Just 3 minutes to the end. Boyle rolls it across. There's a goal. An easy one for Keith Houchen. Coming across, headed away there. But picked up again by Ipswich Town. This is Milton. Milton scores! A superb strike. 15 minutes gone. And he puts Ipswich Town in. Back come Brighton. Byrne going through, and Byrne scored! Oh, he squeezed that one in. Superb finishing again from John Byrne. It's Brighton 1, Ipswich Town 1. And Byrne's put the Seagulls back in contention. Nice man ball, but Whitten getting a cross in. They're in at the far post. A good save there. Oh, it's there. Jason Dazelle, back from injury, squeezes that ball in. It's Brighton 1. Nice little chip coming in. Oh, it is there. Gary Chivers got the touch. He attacked the ball when the defenders were static. Cunnington, but Brighton get it back across again. Oh, there's confusion there. Oh, it must score, he does. Raffle Mead makes it 1-0 to Brighton in the 12th minute. Well, they were queuing up for that. Well, collected there by Mead. Mead going all the way, he's got Gall in the centre. This is Gall. Gall shoots and Gall scores. 2-0, 15 minutes gone. And Brighton are right on top here against Grimsby. Robinson going for it. Ball's inside, but plays it back. Trumpin. Oh, good dummy there. And a good turn, and the shot's there! 3-0. Raffle Mead grabs his second goal of the match. But a good... Robinson inside. Nicely controlled. Gall's there. Gall gets the shot in. Oh, what a goal! Mark Gall puts Brighton into the lead in the 35th minute. Set up by Raffle Mead. Searching ball this. Oh, and down goes Gallagher. Has the whistle gone? I'm not sure. The referee is... well, I think Slaven wants a penalty. And that's what's being given, is it? Well, Mark Beanie asking Paul Durkin, the referee, to go across and have a word with the linesman. Bernie Gallagher protesting his innocence. I'm not sure whether he fell over the ball, I think it was, and then he grabbed hold of it. If that's the case and the whistle hadn't gone, a penalty it is. And it seems that Paul Durkin has awarded Middlesbrough a penalty. And it looks like it'll be Bernie Slaven who takes it. This his first kick of the game after coming on as a substitute. We're into the 71st minute of this game. Slaven, he scores. It's Brighton 1, Middlesbrough 1.
Final score there 1-1. Paul Durkin, the referee for that game, who represented England at the France 98 World Cup tournament. Albion will be relegated Division 2 the following season as the Premier League had arrived, and the third division would from henceforth be known as Division 2. Kurt Nogan would be arriving and Steve Foster would return. Here's a pick of the best games from season 92-3.
Oh, it's the opening goal. Walker gives Bolton Wanderers a lead after 37 minutes.
First goal of the afternoon to Bolton Wanderers. Scorer number 9, Andy Walker.
Brighton got it all to do, trailing 1-0. Chivers. And Winstanley leaves it to Burke. And Gary Chivers getting in on the act. Here's Robert Codner. There's it wide on the right-hand side. Lofted in. And there's the equaliser. Just before half-time, Steve Cottrell getting on the end of that long cross. What a piece. Walker upended, nothing given. Wilkins lays it wide on that left-hand side again. Chapman surging forward. Chapman gets the 1-2. Chapman goes again. He's going all the way, and he has! What a time to score! 88 minutes, 2 minutes from time. Brighton Hove Albion 2, Bolton Wanderers 1.
Our cameras making their first appearance at the Goldstone for this Coca-Cola Cup match. Colchester United down and out, 2-1 on aggregate. There would be another United in the next round, a much more formidable one.
Trampling, good battling skills. Delayed inside, does do. 1-0. Molden thumps it in. A good opportunist goal from Phil Molden just before the hour. 59 minutes gone. And Foster, 2-0. Molden, no mistake. 75 minutes. Brighton looking comfortable with this 2-0 lead. And there's the end of the game. Brighton 2, Preston North End 0.
Ball played by Kanchelskis, causing all sorts of problems, and the ball nearly finding its way through. An instant shot blocked out. United pushing the pressure on, and here's Wallace. He went the wrong side of the Crumpling. Oh, it's a goal! It's a goal! Danny Wallace giving Manchester United the lead. Wallace giving United the lead.
Second round of the Coca-Cola Cup brought Manchester United to the Goldstone for a two-leg game.
26 minutes, nearly 27 minutes into the second half, a substitution. Going to be David Blackham.
Yes, David Beckham making his first ever appearance for Manchester United.
So United making a substitution. That possibly will be a relief to fullback Ian Chapman, who has had a few problems, but he's coped quite well. Here he is, Chapman, raining down on this side. Good ball in. Yes, a goal! Edwards, a goal! That's the equaliser, a tremendous goal! Brighton Hove Albion 1, Manchester United 1.
And although Albion would lose 1-0 in the second leg, it was a great performance considering Manchester United had brought Paul Ince, Brian McClare, Mark Hughes and Dennis Irwin with them.
It's a great goal. It's a great goal. Andy Kennedy in the 43rd minute, direct from the corner. Steers the ball into the corner. Again, the options pretty limited for Muir. Has to come back for Frayne. Again, Francis to target. Oh, and he's hit the bar! Now, a player of his experience really should have gone anyway. Good head on by Ward. Oh, this is a good move. Walker onside this time. Good cross in. That's a great goal at the far post.
Chapman surging forward to Codner. Codner plays it through on the edge of the area. Here's Chivers. Floats one to the back post and just clips the top of the bar. Chatfield relieved. Hayes coming forward with Stevens. Lays it wide. Not been totally overawed this afternoon of Hayes. That's one for Kennedy. Is it Kennedy? Yes, 1-0. 38 minutes into the game. Kennedy. Advantage to Crumpling. Brighton need this other goal to secure the game. Into the right-hand side. Surging forward. Play to the back post. There it is. 2-0. Right on the death of the game. Robert Codner secures the game. And Brighton are through to the second round.
And in the second round, they'd face one of Clive Walker's future teams, Woking.
Crumpling's long throw. Crumpling faced by Y. And that's the opening goal. 18 minutes. Andy Kennedy rising on the back post.
and giving Lawrence Batty no chance as Brighton take the lead. Still Brighton in front. Edwards is skating down on this right-hand side. Lays inside to Codner. It's a nice ball played wide. Chapman lays it in the dummy and Walker. And Batty in the right place. Woking played quite well. Certainly not been totally overawed. Andy Clement. And the equaliser. Shane Y, 72 minutes. Look at the delight. Just look at the delight of the travelling support.
Albion would win the replay at Kings Meadow 3-2.
And there's the early goal. Kurt Nogan, 19 minutes. Firm header. Burnley get themselves a free kick. Digweed did well to hold that. Walker lays it inside to Nogan. Oh, what a cheeky little goal from Kurt Nogan. 52 minutes gone, Brighton 2, Burnley 0. Racing down this left-hand side, teasing his way. Good ball played out on the far side. Oh, that's 3. Crumpling. Christmas has come to the Goldstone.
The biggest occasion since last season's Coca-Cola Cup game against Manchester United, with Brighton Hove Albion managed a 1-1 draw there. They take on this afternoon Portsmouth, Pompey, who reach...
Bumper crowd at the Goldstone for the FA Cup third round tie against Portsmouth.
Black forward again. And Aspinall going all the way. And a good save from Mark Beanie. The first real opportunity of the afternoon. Shivers with a throw once again. Another back Chivers again, push it forward. Not at all, Nogan. And Nogan's got round the back, Nogan. You've got Chamberlain. Oh, what a superb. Oh, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. First Foster and then Chivers got in the way. Superb piece of defending from both players. It's been robbed. And that's the end of the game. That's the end of the game. Brighton 1, Portsmouth 0.
Keep their promotion hopes going, and Brighton need them to keep them in contention of a playoff place. But as I speak, Albion are coming right the way through. There's surely a chance here as Mellon goes down from Beanie. A penalty surely. Taylor superbly taking penalty, 1-0 Albion. West Bromwich, that is. Walker. Good ball, nice layoff. Brighton build on this right-hand side. Edwards. Edwards intervenes. Edwards. Oh, good effort from Edwards, and Nailo diving down to his post. In. Yes, there's the equaliser. Lee Nogan. Kurt Nogan, should I say. Codner. Brighton looking the better of the two sides as Gallagher. Walker. Gallagher, another one forward. Codner beaten by Robson. Brighton pushing a bit of pressure in that Albion half, West Bromwich half. Foster, there's one for Codner to chase, and brought down on the edge of the area, but Kennedy takes it on! He's got it! And Brighton take the lead, 2-1. The Brighton supporters whistling for the referee to make this decision to end the game, but it's the Seagulls coming forward again with Nogan, one of the scorers this afternoon. Oh, it's 3! Let's wrap the points up, Kennedy! He's delighted.
So a good win over West Bromwich Albion, 3-1 there, and we've got two more games against Hull City and Chester City.
Winders. Farrington has robbed him, there's not long left either, and that sure has robbed the game off for Brighton. Farrington capitalising on mistake in the Hull City defence. Foster. No problem here. Oh, they've gone down! Thompson has given Chester the lead. Disastrous start for Brighton, trailing 1-0 from that first minute Thompson goal. Oh, there's a chance here as Rimmer's through again. I don't believe it, it's two goals in 2 minutes in the opening. Brighton trail 2-0. Oh, it's 2-1. Nogan from close in. Brighton need to get back into this game, trail 2-1, relegated Chester City. Farrell distant from the pitch. Right to the back post. Oh! And Byrne, 2-2! Just after the half hour. The second half here. Yes! 3-2. Byrne again at the back post. Brighton doing well to come back from 2-0 down to be leading 3-2. Oh, good save from Stewart.
Last match of the season, Chester City have beaten 3-2. Albion finishing in 9th position, and on to now 1993 to 1994. Jimmy Case will be back in January for the Cambridge United fixture, but that'll come later. The first match is against Hartlepool United, and we got a newscast from Meridian Television, courtesy of Nicky Proughton in the sports department. Thank you very much.
Brighton were up against Hartlepool at the Goldstone ground looking for their first win. Kurt Nogan lively in attack and Brighton tried all the early pressure. It paid off after 12 minutes. Stuart Monday's cross, searching out Andy Kennedy to finish. The lead didn't last long, and John Gallagher's strike gave 18-year-old Nicky Rusk no chance at all. Logan worried the Hartlepool defence, but Tom Carter in goal was in good form. The score remained Brighton 1, Hartlepool
1-1 that one. And the next game is Gillingham in the Coca-Cola Cup. Albion had already lost 1-0 at Priestfield. This was the return match at the Goldstone. Albion through to the second round to face Middlesbrough. But no joy against Bristol Rovers, a 2-0 home defeat. Huddersfield Town there, getting a 1-goal lead with that free kick. Albion will hit back in the second half with 2 quick goals. Simon Funnell scoring and also Matthew Edwards. And Albion had plenty of opportunities to increase their lead. Huddersfield Town's 89th minute equaliser left Barry Lloyd fuming, and he asked to see a copy of the video just to see who was responsible for conceding such a sloppy goal. 2 goals from Kurt Nogan, winning the game for the Albion. This is the match against Exeter City. Let's off for Albion there, and a 0-0 draw. Middlesbrough are next, but Albion were already 5 goals down. And that made it 6-0 on aggregate. A bit of a lost cause, really. And to their credit, Albion kept on plugging away. Just 2,074 spectators for this one. I'm sure Brian Robson's men would attract a lot more now. And the conditions got as bad as the scoreline. But at last, Kurt Nogan salvaged some pride for the Albion, claiming the last goal of the tie. And it was Kurt Nogan who would score against Stockport. But Stockport did draw level before half-time to make a final score of Albion 1, Stockport 1. Now a miserable match against Rotherham United, the visitors winning 2-0. Next, the match against Wrexham.
Winning 9 games, took the lead against Wrexham after 27 minutes. Ian Chapman's cross headed in by Gavin Geddes. But in the second half they conceded a penalty and Steve Foster brought down Stephen Pugh. No complaints about the decision. And Steve Watkins scored the equaliser. Final score, Brighton 1.
And that Wrexham game having been brought forward one day earlier due to an Inland Revenue hearing. Bit of a let-off there, but Reading did win the game with just 1 goal, which kept them on course for promotion. Was goodbye Barry Lloyd, hello Liam Brady for the Bradford City game. But the result would be disappointing. Just a penalty in it between the two sides, and that penalty going to Bradford City. Disappointing one. Another game settled by a penalty was the Barnet match, but this time Albion got the penalty. Up stepped Ian Chapman. Only goal of the game in front of 10,000 supporters. Here's an old face coming back to the Albion, Jimmy Case, for the New Year's Day fixture with Cambridge United. It will be a day to remember for Kurt Nogan. He'd score 3 goals in the 4-1 defeat of Cambridge. It was nice to see Albion back with normal numbers and not squad numbers again too. Cambridge United briefly got back into the game when they forced it to 2-1. Within 45 seconds though, Albion had restored their 2-goal lead. There's Simon Funnell's contribution to the scoreline. And time for a little masterclass there from Jimmy Case and Steve Foster. Great 4-1 win. Now it's the 6-goal thriller with Bournemouth.
Plenty of space here. Murray's waiting in the middle if he can find him. Murray, what a goal! Brilliant header by Murray. Converting that cross by Steve Cogswell. It was a bullet block.
It took Albion 41 minutes to get level.
The end of the first half. This is Case. Looking for McCarthy, who's found half a yard. And he's swinging away towards it. Who can strike them at range. The goalkeeper spilled the ball, and it's made safe surely now. And Robert Murray.
Things looking black for the Albion, 3-1 down. But a spirited fight back saw Albion get a point from this one.
Towards McCarthy.
One of the best Albion goals we'd ever filmed, that. Superb strike. There was plenty of goals at the Goldstone. For the next match against Blackpool, there was 5 more. Rare goal there for Flats, number 7. It would be followed by 2 goals from Kurt Nogan. Ian Chapman unlucky with that shot there. Blackpool's goalkeeper got on an excursion there, and Kurt Nogan found that one easy. 2-1. "20 minutes to go and Blackpool equalised and looked safe for a point until the 89th minute. The next match was everybody's favourite at the Goldstone, Hull City. Never travel well when they come to the Goldstone. It was 2-0 the season before. This one was 3-0. And a flash of brilliance there from Dean Wilkins, one of his rockets in the net. A time when Kurt Nogan could do no wrong. Another goal for him there. Robert Codner denied there. He'd make up for that in the second half. A fine 3-0 win. The next visitors were York City, and they'd too be going home empty-handed. Robert Codner getting the opening goal, and who else but Kurt Nogan getting the second. Kurt scoring there thanks to a lethal through ball from Steve Foster. This is Burnley. Time of Burnley's goal, 1 minute. It took Albion 83 minutes to equalise. But still, Burnley could have won it in the gale force condition with this last-minute attempt. Adrian Heath. In the end, the 1-1 result just about right. Next to the Goldstone were Leyton Orient and another 8,000 plus crowd. Always a fierce match between these two sides. And for once, Kurt Nogan didn't get on the score sheet. Robert Codner and Andy Kennedy getting the goals here. Now an excellent match against Plymouth Argyle, chasing promotion. No goals in the first half. But Kurt Nogan opened the scoring before Plymouth Argyle forced an equaliser. Plymouth equalising there, and give them some credit. Look at the amount of supporters they brought for a midweek game, a 200-mile journey. Those supporters must love motorway food. The game was played generally in good spirit, apart from this isolated incident here. And that was a sending off offence even before France 98. The only difference is, of course, that Dean Wilkins would have got a red card too at the World Cup. But in these days, in '94, the referee's not quite so stern. It's the 89th minute now, and Paul Dickoff scores the winner. Paul Dickoff on loan from Arsenal. That goal, a serious contender for goal of the season, along with that second goal against Bournemouth. Difficult to say, but they were both brilliant goals. Plymouth's promotion hopes dented and weren't repaired. They were not promoted. Swansea City, they were particularly welcome on this occasion, conceding 4 goals. Maybe that one deserved goal of the season. Robert Codner there. Hard to say. So many excellent goals in season 93-94. Probably the best visitors' goal was this individual effort here from Swansea City. An excellent goal, it must be said. And that gained reluctant applause all around the Goldstone. Kurt Nogan unlucky that time, but needless to say, he did get on the score sheet. And so did Steve Foster there. There's Kurt Nogan's goal, Paul Dickoff scoring the other one. Another Welsh team were next at the Goldstone, an 8-goal game against Cardiff. Everything according to plan there, but Cardiff City ran riot. After being 1 goal down, they eventually forced themselves to being 5-1 up. And it was all started with that clumsy challenge from Jimmy Case. There was no use Nicky Rust remonstrating with his defenders there. Not a lot anybody could do about that one. Cardiff City didn't look that good really, but they just kept on scoring. The second penalty of the match going to Cardiff City. There would still be another penalty to come for the Albion. "5-1 down, enough was enough. At least Albion restored some pride with 2 goals. Kurt Nogan claiming the penalty kick to make it 5-2. And I don't suppose it would be Cardiff City if we had a game against them with no trouble on the pitch. Cardiff City down to 10 men. We turn the volume down a little bit as this gentleman's about to receive a volley of abuse. One more goal to make the final score 3-5. McCarthy and Kurt Nogan 2 goals, scoring there for the Albion. Cardiff City enjoying their trip down the M4 a lot more than their friends from Swansea. Nice sunny afternoon at the Goldstone. The visitors are Fulham and they are going to lose to 2 Paul Dickoff goals. It was a pity really that the Albion couldn't have afforded to prize him away from Highbury. Here's Liam Brady checking on his players for the last game of the season against Port Vale, and look at that lovely crowd there, 15,423, including thousands from the Potteries. Port Vale winning this game and gaining promotion. But it was time for player of the season first, and who could have argued with the choice? Kurt Nogan. We wondered whether Port Vale were really that good. That was an appalling miss there. But they eventually settled down and took the lead. Half-time score and it's 2-0 to Port Vale, but the arrears about to be reduced. A stunning free kick coming up. An unstoppable blast there from Dean Wilkins, but the joy was short-lived as a few minutes later Port Vale restored their 2-goal lead. Players making a hurried exit, particularly Dean Wilkins there first. And watch that number 10 for Port Vale, about to have his shirt stolen. There it goes. Happy Port Vale players and supporters alike. Their team have been promoted, along with Reading and Burnley. In the other direction were Barnet, Hartlepool, Exeter and surprisingly Fulham, all relegated. Albion, they finished 14th, but with a bit more luck and some better performances against the likes of Rotherham and Bristol Rovers, Albion could have been vying for promotion themselves. They put in some excellent performances, most of which you've seen here. Next we're on to season 1994 to 1995, and the first opponents will be Wycombe Wanderers in the Coca-Cola Cup. It would be the first of 4 meetings with Wycombe throughout the season, with Albion winning 2 and drawing 2. Junior McDougall there scoring the first goal of the season at the Goldstone. Second half now, and Wycombe force an equaliser. The Wycombe goal leading a charmed life there. Eventually they would lose to an 89th minute goal from Kurt Nogan. A 2-1 win for the Albion, and in the return leg at Adams Park, a 3-1 win for the Albion, giving them a 5-2 aggregate result, and a game against Leicester City of the Premier League in the second round. Plymouth stunned there by that Chamberlain goal. But like the previous season, they forced an equaliser and this time didn't concede a last-minute goal. A dreary game against York City produced just 1 goal from the penalty spot. Kurt Nogan stepping up to take the kick. 67 minutes gone. Albion heading for 3 points. However, York City should have got an equaliser. What an incredible miss this is. Final score: Albion 1, York City 0. Another 1-0 win, this time against rivals Leyton Orient. As usual, a big crowd for the arrival of the Londoners. Lucky escape there for the Albion, the ball hitting the woodwork, but Jeff Minton would return the compliment. It was another late show, Kurt Nogan scoring the only goal on 88 minutes. Next visitors were Oxford United, and Steve Foster looked forward to a match against one of his former clubs. We've got some pictures here from Meridian Television, who covered the game for an outside broadcast and a Sunday sport programme. This is Jeff Minton on the ball.
Good touch off towards Cotner. He goes Nogan again. Nogan's finish! That's a magnificent goal by Kurt Nogan.
Magnificent indeed, but back came Oxford.
Towards Byrne. That's his cross. Here's Allen and Mooney!
Next, Leicester City. We're here for the Coca-Cola Cup match. Kurt Nogan unlucky there. Paul in the Leicester City goal would have a busy night. Next it was Dean Wilkins, who tried his luck with a long-range effort. Just tips over. Kurt Nogan eventually getting that breakthrough on 79 minutes. Albion winning the game 1-0, but more surprisingly, winning the second game at Filbert Street 2-0 to take the tie 3-0 on aggregate. A shock indeed for the Premier League side. Cambridge United, they were back again after their 4-1 rout on New Year's Day. Junior McDougall claiming a goal there, and in the second half a bullet shot from Kurt Nogan. Sad to think though that this was his last ever goal for the Albion at the Goldstone. For some reason after that the goals just dried up. This is Birmingham City looking good for promotion. 11,000 people in the ground, just the one goal. Bit of a disappointing performance really after the Leicester City games. Something of an incredible miss there as well. Birmingham's goal scored approaching injury time. Next we've got a bit of a special game here. This is a Jimmy Case benefit match against the full first team squad from Liverpool. Great night for him and a bumper crowd. There was about 3,000 or 4,000 people locked out as well. Couldn't get into the ground. As for the game itself, result really a bit academic, but most enjoyable night. One or two celebrities for Albion, somewhere in there. Where is he? There he is, Matt Letizia for the Albion, if only. Jimmy Case showing he can still shoot there. And Mr. Case off for the rest of the game. Here comes Jeff Minton, one of the substitutes. And it was time for the boss to come on. Liam Brady making an appearance for the Albion. And that's something you can't do in front of Liverpool, even in a friendly. Give them the gift of a ball like that. Fumble from Nicky Rust. Albion did get one goal back. Junior McDougall, 74 minutes. And after 15,500 people, just 1,104 for the game in the Auto Windscreen Shield against Brentford. Just about Albion's best effort in the game. Brentford won it on 40 minutes. A 1-0 win then for Brentford. The bigger crowd was at the Goldstone for the next round of the Coca-Cola Cup against Swindon Town. Half-time lead for Swindon Town, 1-0. Paul McCarthy equalises. A 1-1 draw for the Albion, but not quite good enough as Swindon win the replay by 4-1. Next match at the Goldstones against Rotherham United, they take an early lead. Peter Smith rescuing a point for the Albion. And about a fair result, really. The game did get a little bit ugly 9 minutes from time. Andy Hayward for Rotherham sent off. Rotherham finishing the game with 10 men, but going home with a point. A disappointing game against Bournemouth after last season's 3-3 draw. This one remained goalless. But it was better than this match against Peterborough. Admitted Albion were down in the dumps. They'd been knocked out of the Coca-Cola Cup by Swindon and the FA Cup by Kingstonian of the Diodora League. And they were about to lose to Peterborough. Dreadful conditions for this game, as you can probably see there. And more than an air of offside about that one, but it stood and Albion were 2 goals down. Just that Robert Codner goal to cheer. Kurt Nogan, he'd lost his scoring touch. Peterborough would finish the game with just 9 players on the pitch, having received 2 red cards. That was the first. That was the second. But Peterborough still went home with all 3 points. Another blustery day, and this one is against Swansea City the week before Christmas. Swansea City taking an early first half lead. In the second half, though, Albion equalised and earned a point. A 1-1 draw. Goal scorer Robert Codner. Swansea, though, could have and should have won it with this effort. Shrewsbury Town, they took an early lead at the Goldstone, just 3 minutes gone. Albion equalised on 68 minutes through McDougald. 6 minutes later, Adi Akinbiyi on loan made it 2-1. Next visitors were Stockport County, and a fine 2-0 win here for the Albion. A lucky escape there, and obviously this substitution about to pay dividends. Dean Wilkins on. Cheeky header there from Jeff Minton, scoring Albion's first goal. The second from on loan Adi Akinbiyi, recently the subject of £1 million transfer from Gillingham, no less. A good win against Stockport, who are always hard opponents. That bone-crunching tackle there from Steve Foster earned him a yellow card. And it also earned Brentford a goal from the free kick. $9,500 inside the Goldstone for this one, and quite a few from Middlesex come down for the short journey from Brentford. Brentford there, still sporting the squad numbers as opposed to a straightforward 1 to 11. Hard to say who got that one. Steve Foster looks like he was claiming it. The Albion programme designated it was an own goal. A ghastly night for the match against Bristol Rovers. What a shame that the Albion borrowed this device from Sussex Cricket Club to drain water off the pitch and get the game played. It was a great pity because Albion put in a very bad performance, losing 2-1, although the East Stand did get a bit of a wash. Just look at the state of the pitch, and the game hadn't even started. A groundsman's nightmare, this one, and a fan's nightmare too. It started well with Ian Chapman scoring though. And just look at the weather at half time, no let up, and really madness to have played the game. Suspicions of offside for that equaliser, but no arguments with the winning goal from this free kick. Then a bit of highway robbery from Crew Alexandra. Did very little except this early attack which produced the only goal of the game. It was one of those days, and now with no Kurt Nogan up front anymore, And another blank, this time against Huddersfield Town. Some indication as to the quality of the game. Albion's best chance there, really, and it came from a Huddersfield Town player. Nil-nil the final score. Not a game to be remembered, but this next one certainly was. No goals at half-time. John Byrne broke the deadlock on 59 minutes. Paul McCarthy looking very pleased with that goal. He'd be more pleased with the next one. It was one of his own, and it came just 2 minutes later. .20 minutes to go, and George Paris got in on the act. Former West Ham favourite, scoring a goal to remember. Almost as cheeky as the one we'll see him score against Bristol Rovers the following season. Junior McDougall getting the fourth goal in the space of 15 minutes. Next were Cardiff City, and they came and earned a 0-0 draw. Strange that Cardiff, just like last season, came shortly after Albion had hit 4 past the Welsh side. Steve Foster getting closest of all. Here at Chester City, they were bottom by a long way, and after 3 minutes, Albion went 1-0 up. Junior McDougall scoring there, but it was the only goal of the game. Albion supporters expecting a hatful got just the one, and Chester nearly stole a point. Albion back from 2 away matches, a 0-0 draw, a very credible 0-0 draw against Oxford, and a 4-3 away defeat at Rotherham. But this was Blackpool, as you probably guessed by the orange shirts. They stunned the Albion with an early first half goal. Albion level before the break. Paul McCarthy scoring that goal there. In the second half, Albion forged ahead, 2-1. John Byrne claiming that goal. But a late strike from Blackpool meant that the points were shared. Ah, here come the Tigers again, due for their annual defeat. They thought they'd got that elusive goal, and quietly and jubilantly marched to the centre spot to kick off, but no. Linesman had 1 or 2 things to say. So did Liam Brady by looks of things, and so did Steve Foster. Eventually, it was a goal kick. Hull City must have dreaded their trips to the Goldstone, that's for sure. It seems whatever they did, they just couldn't score. And with just 3 minutes on the clock, Jeannie McDougall scored the only goal of the game for the Albion. Highly undeserved, but welcome just the same. There were just 2 matches left for the remainder of the season, Wycombe and Bradford City. Here's the Wycombe game. Albion catching out the Wycombe keeper Hyde. Jules Paris scoring another one of his cheeky goals. Wycombe eventually forced an equaliser, and the result just about right, really. Which led us to the last game of the season, and time again for Player of the Year. And again, who could argue with this choice? Peter Smith, he'd given everything throughout the season, and it was nice to see him receiving the award. Very little between the two sides. Steve Foster, the unluckiest player on the pitch, hitting the post there, as did Bradford City here. Now Albion were making a habit of these late shows, and here's Stuart Tuck coming on as sub. Moment of joy there for Stuart Tuck, scoring the game's only goal. Last kick of the season for Nicky Rust. Time for that invasion of the pitch at the end of the season, and for the players to salute the supporters who have been watching them all season. End of the 1994-5 season had come, but there was still one game left on the agenda, the Sussex Senior Cup against Bognor Regis. Young Fox there claiming the first goal. A hint of offside about the second, scored in second half injury time. But the goal was given, Albion winning 2-0. Wasn't quite Wembley, but it was nice to see the Albion lift some silverware. Promoted in 94-95 were Birmingham City, Brentford and Huddersfield Town. But there's Albion sandwiched between Wrexham and Rotherham. The following season, 1995-6, was not a happy one for the Albion. Many poor results, including this dreadful game against Bradford City. They were back again after only a few months of the close season. It was hardly worth them going home again. Only Peter Smith's effort there worthy of note. Fulham in the Coca-Cola Cup next. They're already 3-0 up from the first leg at Craven Cottage. and eventually win the tie 5-0. No repeat of last season's Coca-Cola excitement. This is Wycombe Wanderers Albion about to score an early goal. Ball in the number 9 shirt there, scoring Albion's only goal of this particular match. But at last a home win for the Albion against Notts County, although the Seagulls left it very, very late. And had to put up with the antics of the Notts County goalkeeper. He saved everything except this. Junie McDougall scoring in the 85th minute. Next were Blackpool, and they got 2 early goals. And you could have probably heard in the background the start of the protests against the current Albion ball. And at 2-0, the future was bright and the future was orange. Ian Chapman's last-ditch attempt there. Too late to save the points, but a great goal just the same. Next we've got Shrewsbury Town, an early goal for Steve Foster. Something of a collector's item there. How many goals did Steve Foster score like that? And there he was giving an action replay there. And for all Albion's efforts, Shrewsbury Town went down the other end, their first real attack, and equalised. And in the second half, made it 2-1. From the kick-off though, Albion equalised immediately. Goal scorer Jeff Minton. This was Swindon Town. They were looking a sure bet for promotion, but were jolted by early Albion attacks, including this one that hit the post. And Steve McMahon, he knows an old gentleman's trick or two. A quick free kick, 1-0. One-0 soon became 2-0. And with Steve McMahon playing and the all-red strip, you could be forgiven that it was Liverpool on the pitch. Half-time Albion 3 goals down. They pull one back through Junie McDougall. Next we've got that game against Bristol Rovers. They'd had the upper hand with recent meetings, but here's George Paris starting a move that he would finish in spectacular style. You've got to watch out for George. There he is, hiding behind the goalkeeper there. And the goalkeeper unaware of his presence, obviously. And that Bristol Rovers keeper swindled. 1-0 to the Albion, and they made it 2 from the penalty spots. Denny Mundy the scorer. The Pirates had been robbed. But despite all the joy of the Bristol Rovers game, a miserable match against Swansea City. And an even more miserable one against Walsall. $3-0 down, but a change of fortune and a change of manager as Liam Brady stepped down in favour of Jimmy Case. It took Albion 45 minutes to beat their former goalkeeper John Keeley, but it took only 1 minute of the second half to double the score. Goal there for Junior McDougall. And the second of the night for John Byrne. Back came Canvey Island though. At least they went home with a goal. And that cheered their supporters up. Just one more goal, it came from Albion, from Peter Smith here. And there was more joy when Bournemouth arrived, a 2-0 win against the South Coast rivals. A rare goal there for Stuart Mile. And an excellent goal from Jeff Minton. Here's another forgettable match, Chesterfield. Albion a bit down in the dumps. They've just been eliminated from the FA Cup by Fulham on penalties. A better result though against Stockport County, a 1-1 draw. Another goal from Ian Chapman. Final score 1-1. This was a very disappointing game, the one against Peterborough United. Albion's equaliser, courtesy of the penalty spot. Denny Mundy claiming that equaliser. Would you believe it, with 4 seconds on the clock? Incredible. Peterborough took the points. This was an entertaining game against Wrexham at a 2-2 draw. Jeff Minton putting Albion ahead in the 9th minute. Wrexham equalising on 22, and then 3 minutes before half-time, a remarkable goal from them, it must be said. That went in so quick, the referee there wasn't sure, had to have a long, hard look at his linesman. It flew out of the net as quick as it had gone in. But no doubt about that one. Jeff Minton equalising for the Seagulls on 63 minutes. And in injury time, Junior McDougall will have nightmares about that one. 2-2 the final score. Another 2-2 draw and a very spirited performance against Crewe Alexandra. Just 18 minutes and it's 2-0 to Crewe. In the second half, Dean Wilkins pulled one back. That one took an age to get into the net. I'm sure even Dean himself was surprised at that one. Peter Smith claims the equaliser. Crewe had looked tired after their cup exploits with Southampton and had to settle for a draw. Here's another miserable game, this one against Bristol City. And not much better was the 0-0 draw with Brentford. More disappointment against Oxford United. What was disappointing was a few weeks earlier Albion had earned an excellent point at the away fixture with Oxford. But there was time for Craig Maskell to score. Albion battled away in the last 10 minutes but couldn't force an equaliser. It was time for the Tigers to come back to the Goldstone again and receive another hammering. Craig Maskell there on 9 minutes. And John Byrne on 35. second half, and John Byrne gets another. Not to be outdone, Craig Maskell also got his second goal of the game with 8 minutes remaining. Even George Parrish tried his luck. Can we play you every week? The North Stand shouted out, and I certainly wouldn't argue with that. This is a cheeky goal. Sean Goater putting Rotherham ahead, but Dean Wilkins earning the draw. Just one goal in it against Burnley. On loan striker from Chelsea, Zeke Rowe, earning 3 points for the Albion, but it was looking gloomy indeed. Now Burnley thought they'd scored there and the referee had given it, but thanks to that linesman over there, no goal and no points for Burnley either. Carlisle United, they were desperately in need of 3 points to have any chance of avoiding relegation. Again, Zeke Rowe the scorer. And things got a little ugly there. Jeff Minton and that gentleman in the deck chair strip were both sent off the pitch. Jeff Minton there thinking he'd got away with it. Nice try though. After the final whistle, it was too much for some of the Carlisle players who collapsed to the ground in despair. They were almost certainly relegated. These supporters were arriving for the game with York City, unaware of the fact that they will only see 16 minutes of a football match. A lot of tension in the ground and a lot of protests to remove the current board of Archer, Bellotti and company. But first, a happy moment, Ian Chapman getting his Player of the Year award. And it was particularly welcome for him in view of the fact that he was told he was not wanted for the following season. The ground had been broken into a few days earlier. You can see somebody has painted "Sack the Bald" on the pitch, Bellotti out and "Sack the Bald" in the dugouts. That York City effort about the only incident worthy of note. It was bound to happen. A pitch invasion and the players taken off initially just for a few minutes to let things calm down. But it was clear with scenes like this that the game would have to be abandoned and replayed due to the fact York City had to win to avoid relegation. But if they won, Carlisle would be relegated. The scenes got uglier and the match was abandoned to be replayed following Thursday at an 11 AM kickoff, a strange time, and only 2,106 people could get to it. No tickets were on sale for the match either on the day, and York City looked like they were going down. There would have been some cheers in Carlisle for that one. But in the second half, York City scored 3 goals and saved themselves. York scoring on 52, 56 and 87 minutes. And so Carlisle were relegated. There's Nicky Rust. And have you ever noticed how Nicky Rust always seems to get the last kick of the season? There's Albion in 23rd spot, the good old Tigers in 24th, Swansea City and Carlisle United after that York City result are relegated. Up go Swindon, Oxford and Crewe, and on to the last ever season at the Goldstone. At last and joy for the Albion, 70 minutes, Ian Baird scores. Ten minutes later, it's a goal from Jeff Parris, his only goal of the season, and he wouldn't take part in many more games. Birmingham City, they're playing a League Cup match. This is the first round, first leg. A late penalty takes it and they win 2-0 at St Andrews to win the tie. Scunthorpe taking the lead in the second half, but 4 minutes later, Ian Baird equalises. And next it's Scarborough, with Stuart Storer scoring the opening goal. That goal coming after 10 minutes. In the second half, Craig Maskell scores number 2. He also got a yellow card for that celebration there. 53 minutes gone, and then with 10 minutes to go, Craig gets another. Mark Ormerod had taken over from Nicky Rust in the Albion goal and let 2 goals slip in the last 6 minutes. Ian Baird cheering up the Albion supporters there. Torquay 2-1 up at half-time. Jeff Minton scores the equaliser. Hero of the moment, Mark Ormrod saving that Torquay penalty. This is the infamous game against Lincoln City. It was a goal that would lead to a pitch invasion and a protest at the directors, although you can see by that shot of the director's box there's nobody in it. Most of the protests were peaceful, but there were isolated incidents of violence and also accusations that the media were orchestrating these events, and well, maybe they were. Only cheer up, Peter Smith's equaliser in 37th minute. Referee asking the Lincoln players to get on with it. A 3-1 home defeat and 2 more points deducted by the FA for the crowd trouble. Just Stuart Storer's goal against Cambridge to cheer us up there. This is the match against Hereford United, a game of great significance, although we didn't realise it then. Hereford scoring the only goal of the game. With 15 minutes to go, there was a mass exodus in protest at the Albion board. The game carrying on there regardless. Extraordinary scenes. And those that left missed Jason Peake hitting the crossbar. Fulham were next at the Goldstone, a dreary 0-0 draw. But as Fulham were at the top of the table, it wasn't a bad result, and there was a sight not many Albion supporters relished. The chief executive, David Bellotti, taking his place in the director's box. He wouldn't be able to do that for much longer. And I wondered what he thought of that first half display from the Albion. These are some rather shaky pictures of the director's box at half-time. The only ones we've got, I'm afraid. No Mr.Bellotti, and it had been taken over by Albion supporters. Albion did get a draw in the end, thanks to this penalty. Denny Mundy in the 77th minute. Carlisle are back again. And the high-flying Northerners rocked by that early Ian Baird goal. Referee booking the keeper for arguing. And then more trouble, a firework throwing incident in the main stand, and everything's held up for a little while. Carlisle did come back with a vengeance as well, winning the game by 3-1. Nicky Rust restored in goal for the match against Sudbury Town, a first round FA Cup replay. Albion had most of the play, but just couldn't make their efforts count. The Suffolk side going 1-0 up, but Albion coming back before half-time. Craig Maskell scoring the equaliser, but Albion surprisingly went out on penalties. Here's another shot of the director's box for the match against Darlington, and one supporter ejecting Mr.Bellotti. Once again, the director's box taking over. And Albion off to a good start against Darlington, a team needing to win themselves. They were just one place above Albion. But they did have a cushion of 6 points. Craig Maskell and Ian Beard's 2 goals not enough. Darlington snatch an 87th minute winner. Another managerial change. Out goes Jimmy Case. In comes Steve Gritt, the former Charlton favourite, and he's in luck really because the Tigers are back. Paul McDonald on 3 minutes, silencing some of the protesting whistles. Stuart Storer and Craig Maskell add into the rout. 3-0 win for the Albion. This is the Boxing Day match against Colchester United, and a well-rehearsed free kick here from the visitors. And a well-rehearsed penalty from the home side. Denny Mundy the scorer. Next on the list were Rochdale. A 30th minute goal for Craig Maskell. And another on 66. Ian Baird completed the rout. (3-0), 71 minutes. But there is even better football to come against Hartlepool United and a bumper crowd of 8,500 to go with it. Baird and Maskell claiming a goal apiece, and the game 22 minutes old. And Craig Maskell getting one on 45. A rare treat for Hobson, scoring the 4th for the Albion. And in the thick fog, Craig Maskell claims a hat-trick, and Albion recalled a 5-0 win, but just the 1 goal against Exeter City. Scorer Ian Baird. Swansea City were back at the Goldstone next. And Ian Baird makes it 1-0 on 34 minutes. No mistake in that one there. Ian Baird again on 54. That appeared to be an own goal from Mark Ormerod, but the Swansea defence were caught cold here. Swansea did score a consolation in the last minute, but the points were staying in Brighton. And next with Northampton Town. Robbie Reinelt scoring the first of his 2 goals, the second one away to Hereford being much more important. And Jason Peake there, enjoying probably his finest moment whilst with the Albion, scoring that second goal. Northampton's late consolation barely raised a murmur in the ground. This was a game to remember. The 4-4 draw with Leyton Orient. Two goals for Craig Maskell, and the game just 5 minutes old, and that's how it stayed until after half time when Orient scored 3 goals in 12 minutes. Extraordinary turnabout. Ian Baird equalising there, but would you believe it, from the kick-off, Leyton Orient went back into a 4-3 advantage. Still there was time for an equaliser, a Paul McDonald penalty. And time for 1 or 2 idiots to get themselves arrested. Final score 4-4. Incredible game. Cardiff City, well, they were dead and buried by half time when Albion hit them for 2 goals. One or 2 complaints from the Cardiff City players there. No arguments with the second goal though from Ian Baird. A sad moment as the Albion lights are switched on for the last time against Barnet. Just the one goal settling in this match. And Ian Baird doing the damage. Another 1-0 win, this time over high-flying Wigan Athletic, who eventually won promotion. That Craig Maskell shot on the hour, doing the trick. Wigan should have equalised though when they had a golden opportunity. $9,000 Albion fans home delighted with those 3 points, which brings us to the last game against Doncaster Rovers and an all-ticket sellout of 11,341. Here's a few shots of incidents before the game kicked off. There's the Doncaster Rovers team arriving, along with thousands of Albion supporters. This was the scene at 1 o'clock, 2 hours before the kickoff. Big queues forming. That's a Wembley 83 rosette there, sported by one of the fans waiting to get in at the North Stand. And here's some of the lucky ones off to get their favourite spots. Out came the teams to a sombre walk rather than a run. And so on to the game itself, but not before a few photographs. Well, that wasn't in the script. Ian Baird fighting with one of the Doncaster players, and soon both sides were down to 10 men. Then it was Ian Baird's turn. Doncaster keeper left for dead there with that deflection, but it just went for a corner. The only goal came from Stuart Storer. Doncaster nearly spoiled the party with a late equaliser. There's the final table then. Albion being spared relegation from the GM Conference merely because they'd scored more goals than Hereford. That last game with Hereford United at Edgar Street, the 1-1 draw proved decisive. Hereford, they were off on an adventure to non-league football. In the other direction were Wigan Athletic, Carlisle, Fulham and Northampton. Northampton having secured promotion through the playoffs. But for next season, 97-98, Albion would have to play home matches at Gillingham.